I honestly don't understand why everyone is acting like I'm a monster. Really, I keep replaying it in my head, and every time I go through the events, I land on the same conclusion. I did not do anything that bad. Did I make a joke in poor taste? Maybe. Did I hurt his feelings a little? Possibly. But destroy an entire relationship? Deserve to be packed up and dropped off like a return package? No. Absolutely not. People online love to preach about honesty. Be real. Don't pretend. If you have a problem, say it. There are whole podcasts about radical honesty and being your authentic self. But the second, a woman makes one sarcastic comment about a ring that genuinely looks like it came from the clearance section next to scented candles and seasonal socks, suddenly she's cruel, ungrateful, shallow, toxic. I guess that's me now. The toxic one. The ungrateful one. The girl who lost her fiancé over a Walmart joke. I can feel my cheeks getting hot just thinking about it, because even now, even after everything, a part of me is still convinced I wasn't completely wrong. Yes, I know how that sounds. I know you're probably rolling your eyes already. But if I don't tell this the way I experienced it, then what's the point? Everyone already has his version, his quiet, wounded, noble version. The I tried everything and she mocked my love version. This isn't that. This is mine. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. Let me start with the part that everyone loves to quote out of context. I swear people are dramatic. I wasn't insulting him, I was just joking. I always make sarcastic comments. He knows my humor. It's not my fault the ring looked affordable. That's what I keep saying, over and over. To my mom, to myself in the mirror, to my best friend on call at 1 a.m., while she muttered, "Oh my God," every 5 seconds. To the therapist I tried seeing once, who looked at me with that neutral, professional concern that made me want to scream. It's true though, I do always make sarcastic comments. That's literally my personality. I'm the girl who turns everything into a joke. Awkward silence? Joke. Stressful meeting? Joke. Emotional moment? Definitely a joke. It's how I survive. Other people cry and write in journals. I make dark comments and laugh too loudly. And it's not like this was new. When we first started dating, he told me one of the things he liked about me was how unfiltered I was. "You say what everyone else is thinking," he said. Apparently that only applied until the thing I said hurt him. Honestly, a proposal ring shouldn't look like it came from Walmart's seasonal aisle. I stand by that. I don't care if that makes me shallow. Engagements are a performance, whether people like it or not. Pictures, social media, friends zooming in on your hand like FBI analysts, everyone judging the ring, the location, the story. Isn't honesty important in a relationship? I said to my reflection this morning, standing in my childhood bathroom with its floral hand towels and cheap mirror. I was only being honest. My reflection just stared back, puffy-eyed and tired. It didn't answer. He'd been weird all week, but I thought it was just work. He was staying late, answering emails at night, looking at his phone with that focused, distant stare he gets. Every time I asked what was going on, he'd just smile and say, "You'll see." Of course, my friends were convinced he was cheating. "He's definitely texting someone," my friend Nika said over brunch. Men only smile at their phone for 2 reasons, memes or women, and he doesn't laugh at memes. I rolled my eyes, but a small, ugly part of me wondered. Then he suggested dinner at Laurentino's. Laurentino's is not our usual place. We're more burger and fries, or mid-range sushi kind of people. Laurentino's is white tablecloths, waiters in black shirts with serious faces, and tiny portions that cost more than my monthly phone bill. I knew then. I pretended I didn't know, of course. I acted surprised when he said, "I made a reservation," but my heart was already racing. And I'd already texted the group chat, "He's proposing." I can feel it. If the ring is ugly, I'm screaming. They replied with, "Take pictures." "Show us immediately." "You better FaceTime us from the bathroom." I spent way too long getting dressed. I changed 3 times. I kept looking at my hands in the mirror, wondering how a ring would look on them. I wasn't even thinking about the ring itself, not really. I was thinking about the story, the photos, the announcement, the narrative. We got to the restaurant, and everything felt like a scene in a movie. Candle on the table, a bottle of wine, which he never orders. Nervous energy clinging to the air like humidity. He was sweating a little. That should have been endearing. Maybe, somewhere deep down, it was. But the louder, sharper part of my brain was already analyzing. How is he going to do it? Will he stand? Will he kneel? Will people clap? We ordered food. He barely ate. He kept checking his pocket. When the waiter brought out dessert, there it was, the tiny black box on the plate. I saw it and my heart jumped into my throat. He cleared his throat. "Listen," he said, "you know I'm not good with big speeches. But I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're—" And then he opened the box. And there it was, the ring. Here is the part everyone gets stuck on. Everyone assumes I burst into cruel laughter the second I saw it, that I sneered and pointed and made a scene, that I wanted to embarrass him on purpose. I didn't. What actually happened was this. My brain lagged. I saw the ring, and there was this tiny, stupid moment where the image on the plate didn't match the image I'd had in my head for years. The ring was small, really small. A thin band, a modest stone. It didn't sparkle under the restaurant lights the way Instagram rings do. It looked fine, simple, almost shy. And my mouth did what it always does when my expectations don't match reality. It tried to cover the discomfort with humor. "Wow," I said before I could stop myself. "It's cute." He smiled nervously. "Do you like it?" I could have just said yes. I know that. Rationally, I know a normal person would have just said yes, accepted the ring, kissed him, and talked to him later if they felt weird about it. But I'm not a normal person. I'm me. So I added, "It kind of looks like something from Walmart's seasonal aisle." I even laughed a little to prove it was a joke. A fun joke, a light-hearted joke. The kind of joke girlfriends make when they're teasing their boyfriends about something harmless. At least, that's how I framed it in my head. The silence that followed told me it did not land that way. His smile fell, just slightly. The waiter, who had hovered nearby, glanced between us. I could feel people at the next table pause. I panicked. I mean, like, in a cute way, I added quickly. You know, like those little displays they do. It's small and adorable. Minimalist. I like tiny rings. It's just unexpected. He nodded slowly. Right, unexpected. There was a look in his eyes I didn't like. Something retreating, something closing. I could have stopped then too. But insecurity makes me perform. And performance, for me, means turning everything into content. So I said, wait, give me your phone. I want to take a picture." He relaxed a little at that. I took some photos, then a video. Me holding the ring, me trying to pose naturally, my nails not perfect enough, my hand suddenly looking weird. I did what I always do, tried to craft the moment to look better than it felt. Then, when he went to the bathroom, I posted to my story. He finally proposed, "Ring is cute, but should have gone bigger." I added a little sparkle gif, a heart sticker, a crying laughing emoji. I didn't tag him. I didn't mean anything by it. I wanted to be funny. I wanted attention. I wanted my friends to react and say, "OMG, congrats," and "You deserve bigger." By the time he came back to the table, the comments had started. I didn't realize he could see the screen from his seat. People reacted exactly how I knew they would. "Girl, that ring is tiny." I thought it was a placeholder ring, LMAO. not the Walmart diamond. You better upgrade that when tax season hits. I laughed. It was automatic. That's the environment I'm used to. Snarky, half-mean humor that somehow passes as supportive. This is how my friends and I talk. It doesn't feel cruel when we do it to each other. It feels like bonding. I liked a few of the comments. Maybe I added a to one. It felt harmless. When I looked up, he was staring at the table. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah," he said, but his voice was flat. He didn't finish his dessert. He didn't try to take more pictures. He didn't suggest we take a photo together outside the restaurant. He just asked for the bill and paid it. On the drive home, the silence was so heavy, I felt myself shrinking. "Are you mad?" I finally asked. "No." "You look mad." "I'm not mad," he said in the tone people use when they're absolutely mad. "Then what?" "I'm thinking." That scared me more than yelling would have. When we got home, I kicked off my heels and went straight to the mirror to admire the ring properly. It looked even smaller in our apartment lighting. There was this little part of me that kept whispering, "This is it. This is your forever ring." I tried to push that voice away. I told myself I was being ungrateful, that not everyone gets engagement rings at all. But then, of course, I opened Instagram again. More comments. "Bestie, I'm happy for you, but not for the ring. Is that a promise ring or... You're way too pretty for that size, just saying." I shouldn't have looked at them. I shouldn't have smiled. I definitely shouldn't have taken a picture of my hand and sent it to Nika with, "Okay, but tell me honestly, is this small?" She replied almost instantly. "That's not an engagement ring, that's a starter pack." I snorted. Behind me, I heard a drawer open. He took out the little envelope the ring had come in and sat at the table, reading it. The warranty, the return policy. I glanced at him over my phone and rolled my eyes. Here we go, I thought. He's going to make this a thing. "Are you seriously reading the warranty?" I asked. "I just want to know my options," he said. "Options for what?" He looked up at me for the first time since the restaurant. Really looked at me. His eyes were calm and cold, and I realized I didn't recognize that version of him. "For fixing something that clearly wasn't enough," he said. I felt defensive heat crawl up my neck. "I never said it wasn't enough," I snapped. "You said it looked like a Walmart special," he replied. "Your friends seem to agree." I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it. Instead, I did what I always do, tried to make it a joke again. "Babe," I said, walking over to him and putting my arms around his shoulders. "I was just playing. You know how I am. I joke about everything. It's cute. I like it. I love you. I said yes, didn't I?" He looked down at my hand resting on his chest, the ring catching the dull kitchen light. "You said yes," he repeated, but there was something hollow in the way he said it. We didn't fight that night. Not really. I could feel everything bubbling under the surface, but I was tired. He was tired. I went to shower and planned to talk to him after, maybe apologize, in a way that felt soft but not too humiliating. While hot water ran over me, I practiced lines in my head. "I'm sorry if what I said hurt you. That wasn't my intention." I was surprised, and my anxiety came out as sarcasm. "I actually love that it's simple. It means you didn't go into debt for it." They all sounded fake, even to me. I didn't know how to be genuinely vulnerable without wanting to immediately put a joke over it like a bandage. I didn't know, while I was standing there conditioning my hair, that he was in the living room calling my parents. He didn't tell me what he said to them. I had to piece it together later, from the way they acted when I arrived, from little phrases I heard my mother mumble when she thought I couldn't hear. But this much I know. He told them, calmly, that their daughter would need a place to stay, not for an hour, not just for cooling down, for a while. And they agreed. Of course they did. They've loved him since day one, not in a creepy way, but in that, finally a man who stabilizes our chaotic daughter way. He's polite, helpful. He fixes light bulbs without being asked. He remembers birthdays. He brings my mum her favorite cake when we visit. He asked my dad about car maintenance and actually listens. He's the kind of son they wish they had. So when he called and said, "I can't do this," I'm sure my mother sighed and said something like, "We were afraid of this day." And my father probably said, "Bring her. We'll take care of it." They didn't even call me to ask what happened. They didn't ask for my side. They always take his side, I say now, chewing the inside of my cheek until it hurts. Always. When I came out of the shower, the apartment felt off. Too quiet, too neat, too intentional. I walked into the bedroom still towel-wrapped, skin warm, hair damp, humming some song that had played at the restaurant. The humming died in my throat when I saw the bed. My suitcase was there, zipped. He had folded my clothes. He never folds my clothes. They were stacked neatly in organized piles, shirts, pants, underwear, socks. My makeup bag was zipped and perched on top like a cherry on a sundae. Next to the suitcase was a printed sheet of paper with my parents' address and "Rideshare, 10:40 p.m." written in his handwriting. The ring box was on the nightstand, open, empty. My ring was still on my finger. "What is this?" I asked, my voice too high. "What are you doing?" He stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. He looked strangely calm, like this was just another task on his to-do list. "I called your parents," he said. "They're expecting you." The words didn't compute right away. Expecting me for what? For you to stay there. I laughed because that's apparently my default response to anything remotely painful. "Okay, seriously," I said. "What is this? Are we doing some weird dramatic performance? You're seriously packing my stuff over a joke?" He tilted his head. "You really don't get it," he said. "It was a cheap ring anyway," I blurted before I could stop myself. "Why are you this pressed? I wasn't lying." His eyes flicked to my hand, then back to my face. "Exactly," he said. "Just that." One word that suddenly felt heavy enough to crush me. I followed him to the living room, dripping water onto the floor, the towel slipping a little. He didn't even glance at me. He walked to the dining table, picked up a small paper bag I hadn't noticed before, and set it down. From inside, he pulled out the ring box. He opened it and turned it toward me. Empty. "I returned the $90 Walmart special," he said, "since that's what you think of it." My ears rang. "You... what?" "I returned it," he repeated calmly. "Full refund. They were very understanding." "You... already?" I stammered. "You just... what, drove to the store and—" "I went while you were in the shower," he said. "The store's open late." The realization hit slowly, like cold water pouring over my head. While I had been in the shower rehearsing not apologies, he had driven back to the jeweler, or Walmart, or wherever he actually bought it, I still don't know, and returned the ring I'd said looked cheap. He hadn't screamed, hadn't begged, hadn't argued. He'd just reversed the whole thing. "You can't just undo a proposal," I said, voice shaking. "That's not how it works." He closed the box and slid it back into the bag. "It's exactly how it works," he said. "You made it very clear what you thought of the ring. The ring is part of the proposal. If you mock one, you mock both." "That's not fair," I said. "You're twisting my words." "No," he replied. "I'm finally listening to them." My eyes stung. "Where is this even coming from?" I demanded. "One joke and suddenly you don't love me anymore." His face softened for a fraction of a second. "This isn't about loving you," he said quietly. "It's about realizing you don't respect me, or what I can offer, or what I tried to do." I swallowed. "You're being dramatic." He smiled sadly. "I'm being done." He wheeled my suitcase toward the door. I followed, feeling like a child trailing after a parent who's decided to leave the park early. "Stop," I said. "You're overreacting. We can talk about this." "We've talked," he said. "We've talked about similar things more times than I can count. The comments you make. The way you turn everything into a joke at my expense. The posts. The captions. You always say, 'That's just how I am.'" "It is how I am," I shot back. You accepted that when you started dating me. I accepted it, he agreed, but I don't have to build a life on it. He opened the door. Cold air slid into the hallway. I shivered. Wait, what? I shouted, my voice sharp with panic. You're actually doing this? He didn't shout back. He didn't lose control. He didn't list grievances or throw accusations. He simply set my suitcase gently on the porch. Your parents are expecting you, he said again. I stood there, clutching the towel around myself, ring still on my finger, heart pounding like it wanted to claw out of my chest. You're kicking me out, I whispered. I'm returning you, he corrected. The same way I returned the ring you didn't want. I never said I didn't want you, I protested. He nodded once. But you made it very clear what you think of the way I show it, he said. That's enough. And then just like that, he closed the door. Softly. No slam. No theatrics. Just done. He didn't leave me stranded. I'll give him that. The rideshare he ordered pulled up a few minutes later. I stood there on the porch, fully dressed now, sweating in my jacket, suitcase next to me, the ring still on my finger because I hadn't known what to do with it. I kept waiting for the door to open again. For him to say, okay, you made your point, come back inside. Or, let's talk. Or even, here's the rest of your stuff. Nothing. Just silence. The driver helped me put the suitcase in the trunk. Rough night? He asked, trying to sound casual. Just a misunderstanding, I muttered. I sat in the back seat, clutching my phone, scrolling through the last conversation with him. The last messages were from earlier that day. You'll wear something nice tonight, right? I have a surprise. Don't freak out. I stared at those words until they blurred. Then I started typing. I'm still your fiancé, right? You can't just do this. Can we talk? I didn't mean it like that. You're taking it too far. Please answer. Please. There were no grey typing bubbles, no read receipts, nothing. I recorded a voice note. Hey, I said, my voice shaky. I'm in the car. I think we're both emotional right now. I know I said some things, but you know I didn't mean them literally. Can we please talk when I get there? I love you. This is stupid. Just call me or text. Something. Please. I hit send. No reply. The car turned onto the street where my parents live, and my stomach twisted. I remembered all the times I'd left this house happily, suitcase in hand, going back to him after holidays or visits. I never imagined coming back like this, ring on my finger, future uncertain, heart stubbornly convinced this was all some big mistake that could still be undone. My mum opened the door before I even knocked. She must have been standing there, waiting. Her face was tight. Oh, honey, she said, not quite reaching for a hug. Come in. My dad hovered behind her, arms crossed, jaw clenched. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. His disappointment was a presence all by itself. What did he tell you? I asked, dragging my suitcase over the threshold. That you had a fight, my mother said carefully. That he needed some space. That you'd be staying here for a while. A while, I repeated. Not just tonight. She exchanged a glance with my dad. You know, she said, we've all been expecting something like this eventually. I blinked. What does that mean? You push, my dad said finally. You always have. You poke. You test. You cross lines, and then say you were joking. Not everyone can live with that. My chest tightened. So you're taking his side, I said. We're not taking sides, my mom replied. We're just not surprised. That hurt more than anything he'd said. I didn't cheat, I snapped. I didn't lie. I didn't steal. I didn't do anything unforgivable. I made one comment, one joke, about a ring that everybody else also thought was small. My mother's eyes flicked to my hand. Where is it? She asked. I looked down. The ring was gone. At some point in the car, I must have taken it off and shoved it into my pocket. Now I dug frantically through my coat, then my jeans, then my bag. My fingers finally brushed the cold metal. I pulled it out and held it up like proof. See, I said, it's not even that bad. My mom sighed. It's not just about the ring, she said softly. It's about what it meant to him, and what your reaction meant to him. I didn't want to hear that. I'm tired, I said instead. Can we not do this tonight? She nodded. Your room is ready, she said. We'll talk tomorrow. I dragged my suitcase down the same hallway I'd walked 1,000 times as a teenager, past framed school photos and old drawings. My room was exactly as I had left it years ago. Pastel walls, a bed with an outdated comforter, a desk covered in old makeup and dried-out pens. I shut the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. Then I opened my phone. My story post had exploded. Hundreds of reactions. Comments from people I barely even talk to anymore. Some congratulating me. Some laughing at the caption. Some, surprisingly, calling me out. Why are you dragging him publicly like that? Hope he doesn't see this, I'd cry far. Nah, girl, this is mean. If my girlfriend posted this, I'd be gone. I stared at those last two. Gone. My chest tightened. I clicked over to his profile. Our latest photo, us at the beach, his arm around me, my caption some joking, he's stuck with me now, was gone. So were the other pictures of us. His bio used to have a little heart and my initials. It now said only, just figuring things out. I refreshed. Nothing changed. I went back to our chat, still no replies. I typed, deleted, retyped messages until my fingertips hurt. Some were apologetic, some defensive, some angry. You're really going to throw everything away over a ring? Do you have any idea how stupid this is? You're embarrassing yourself. I'm trying here. Just talk to me. Please. Nothing. I lay down on the bed, still in my jeans, the ring digging into my palm, and finally cried. Not pretty, single-tear sadness. Ugly, red-faced, snotty crying, the kind I would never show anyone. Not even on my close friend's story. Part of me was still furious. How dare he? How dare he embarrass me like this? Send me back home like a broken appliance? How dare he act like I'm the only one with flaws? It was just a joke. People say worse things all the time. Couples fight about money and cheating and in-laws. We were falling apart over a sentence. Another part of me was afraid. Because deep down, under all the denial and defensiveness, a quiet voice kept whispering, "You knew you were being mean. You always know." I pushed that voice away. I wasn't ready to hear it yet. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my mother knocking softly. "Honey," she called, "breakfast." I pretended to be asleep. She knocked again anyway. I reached for my phone before anything else. No messages from him. But something else had changed. His bio now said, unengaged. That word hit like a punch. Our pictures, still gone. A notification from his bank app screenshot popped into our old group chat with my friend Nika and her boyfriend. He must have accidentally sent it there once. I'd never left the chat. Now, at the top, I saw a new message from him sent late last night. Ignore this thread. Also, please remove me from anything wedding-related going forward. Thanks. He had left the chat. I clicked back to his Instagram again. The ring photo I'd posted. Gone. Not removed by him, obviously. I'd posted it. But Instagram showed, post removed due to being unavailable. I realized with creeping dread that it wasn't just that he'd unfollowed me. He had blocked me. The thread in my messages now sat at the very top, with a grey, message not delivered, under my last attempt. No, I whispered. No, 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 no. I tried calling. The call went straight to voicemail. Hey, it's me, I said, voice trembling. Can you please just not do this? We can talk. We can fix it. I know I made a mistake. You know I always say things without thinking. You said you accepted me like that. It's not fair to change your mind now. Call me back. Please. I hung up and realized my hand was shaking. My mother knocked again. I'm coming, I snapped. At breakfast, my parents sat across from me like a jury. My mom slid a plate of eggs and toast toward me. My dad folded the newspaper with a loud crack that made me jump. "So," he said, "do you want to tell us what happened, or should we just keep guessing?" I stared at my plate. "I made a joke," I muttered. My dad snorted. "That tracks." My eyes flashed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," my mother said gently but firmly, "that we know you. You've always used jokes like armor, and sometimes like weapons." "That's dramatic," I said. "Everyone jokes." "You don't know when to stop," my dad said. "There's a difference." I wanted to argue, to list all the times my jokes had lightened the mood, all the times people had said, "God, you're so funny, I love you." All the times my sarcasm had earned me laughter instead of criticism. Instead, I heard myself say, "He proposed," I muttered. "At Laurentino's." My mother's face softened. "Oh, sweetheart." "Don't sweetheart me," I snapped. "He proposed, I said yes, and then later I made one comment, and now apparently I'm returned merchandise." "What did you say?" my dad asked. I swallowed. "I said the ring looked like a Walmart special," I admitted. Silence. I rushed to fill it. "But I was joking. I didn't mean it literally. I told him I liked it. I don't know, I panicked. It was so small. It caught me off guard. And the post..." My mother's head jerked up. "What post?" I cursed internally. I had forgotten they follow me on Instagram. "The story," I muttered. I posted the ring with a caption. Something like, "Should have gone bigger." It was just girl humor. Everyone does it. "You humiliated him publicly," my mother said quietly. "I did not," I protested. "I didn't tag him. He doesn't even use stories. Half those people don't know who he is." "That doesn't matter," my dad said. "You turned a private moment into a joke for other people. At his expense." "He knows that's my thing," I argued. "I make jokes. I post jokes. That's what I do." He used to laugh. "Until the joke was about something that actually mattered to him," my mother said. "That ring was probably the most expensive thing he's ever bought. He saved for it. He picked it. He planned that whole night." "He could have tried to understand where I was coming from too," I said quietly. "I've always been like this. It's not like I switched personalities." "Maybe that's the problem," my dad replied, "that you never thought you'd have to adjust anything about yourself for someone else." I stared at him, my throat tight. "I guess he realized that before you did," he added. That stung. I pushed my plate away. "I'm not hungry," I said. "You never are when you're wrong," my dad muttered under his breath. I pretended not to hear. For the next few days, I did what I do best. I constructed a narrative where I was misunderstood, not malicious. I told my friends he'd overreacted. I told myself he'd come around. I told anyone who asked that it was just a stupid argument. I carefully avoided mentioning the specific words I'd used. I said, "I made a comment about the ring," not, "I compared it to clearance jewelry." I said, "He got really sensitive about a joke," not, "He was publicly humiliated in front of strangers and online followers." My friends mostly took my side. "He's being fragile," Nika said. "My ex bought me a ring that turned my finger green. I roasted him for a week." "Yeah," another friend chimed in. "Men say they want a real one until they get one, and suddenly it's disrespect." I soaked that in. I screenshotted supportive messages. I reread them when the quiet in my parents' house felt too loud. But not everyone agreed. One girl from high school, someone I hadn't talked to in years, replied to my story, before it disappeared, with, "If my fiancé posted that abbed me, I'd never speak to them again, TBH. Another messaged me privately, "This is low-key cruel, babe. You know he's not rich." Why would you shame him like that? I blocked her. If I didn't, I'd have to think about what she said, and thinking was dangerous. See, here's the part I really don't like telling. It wasn't the first time I'd done something like this. It wasn't the first time I'd turned him into content, the first time I'd used him as the punchline to look funny. The first time I'd dressed up cruelty as relatable humor. I'd joked about his job before, about his salary, about his car. Little digs dressed up as sarcasm. "Oh, you know him, Mr. Budget King," I'd say. Or, "He's the type to check gas prices at 3 different stations." Or, "He's not a flashy guy, he's a practical sedan guy." He'd laughed. Sometimes. Sometimes his smile had been tight. He had told me once, months ago, "It hurts when you talk about me like that online. I feel like you're performing our relationship for strangers instead of living it with me." I'd rolled my eyes then. "Don't be dramatic," I'd said. "It's literally just jokes. People know I love you. That's enough." Maybe it hadn't been enough. Maybe this ring thing wasn't a freak incident. Maybe it was the last straw. But every time that thought surfaced, I shoved it back down. Because if I accepted that, I'd have to admit that I hadn't just lost him over one careless comment. I'd been slowly pushing him away for months and calling it my sense of humor. The worst part wasn't the blocking, or the missing photos, or the changed bio. It was the silence. He didn't text, didn't answer calls, didn't even send one angry message to justify himself. He just ceased to respond. I sent walls of text anyway. "I can't believe you're doing this. You said you loved me. You said you knew how I was. You can't just bail the second I mess up. Everyone says things they don't mean. We're adults. We're supposed to work through things. You're not even trying." Then, when anger didn't move him, I switched tactics. "I'm sorry. I was nervous. I didn't realize how much it meant to you. I do appreciate you. I said yes because I want you, not the ring. Can we at least talk in person?" One more conversation. That's all I'm asking. Nothing. Silence became its own language. It said, "I've already made my decision." After a week, even my friends, who had initially rallied behind me, started to shift. "So he still hasn't replied?" Nika asked over FaceTime. "No," I said, picking at a thread on my blanket. "And you're sure he blocked you, not just, got off social media?" "Yes, I'm sure." She hesitated. "Okay," she said slowly. "Don't hate me for this, but I kind of get why he's mad." "What?" I snapped. "Whose side are you on?" "Yours," she said quickly. "Always yours. But objectively. You publicly called his ring cheap, on the same night he proposed. That's brutal. If a guy did that to me, I'd die." "I didn't call it cheap," I argued. "I said it looked like a Walmart." "Okay, fine. That implies cheap, but it was meant to be funny." "You literally wrote 'should have gone bigger.'" "That was also a joke." "Yeah, but humor has a target," she said. "And it was him." I fell silent. "It's not about whether the ring was nice or not," she continued. "It's about the fact that you didn't protect him in that moment. He was vulnerable. You turned it into content." "Wow," I said bitterly. "Enjoy your moral high ground." "I don't have a moral high ground," she said. "I've been awful in relationships too. I'm just saying, I think he hit his limit." "What am I supposed to do?" I asked quietly. Nika sighed. "I don't know," she admitted. "Maybe. This is your limit too. The limit of how far you can go without looking at yourself." I wanted to hang up on her. I didn't. Instead, I changed the subject. Days turned into weeks. He did not come back. There was no dramatic reconciliation. No tearful, rain-soaked confession at my parents' doorstep. No late-night text that said, "I miss you." Nothing. He moved through the world without me, at least publicly. I could tell in small ways. A mutual friend posted a group picture. He was there, smiling, sitting next to someone I didn't know. A co-worker of his posted a story at a bar. I saw his arm in the background. Life went on for him. For me, it felt like time had stopped. I kept replaying the moment in the restaurant, the way his hands shook, the way his eyes looked so hopeful, the tiny shy ring in the box, the way I laughed too quickly, like I was on stage and an invisible audience was waiting for my review. "What if," whispered the annoying, persistent voice in my head, "you had just said yes and shut up?" What if I had just looked at the ring, seen the effort instead of the size, and responded with actual gratitude? What if I had posted a simple picture with "I said yes" and nothing else? What if I had protected that moment instead of monetizing it with validation from virtual strangers? What if? It's a useless question. You can't go back and rewrite the scene once it's already played. But I keep returning to it in my mind anyway, like a movie I can't stop watching, hoping the ending changes. It never does. It always ends with him quietly returning the ring, and returning me. One night, lying awake in my childhood bed, the ceiling fan whirring softly above me, I did something I'd been avoiding. I opened our very first chat thread. It went all the way back to the day we matched on that app. His first message, "You seem like trouble." My reply, only the fun kind, scrolling up felt like reading a past life. I saw the early jokes, the flirting, the way he wrote, "I love how honest you are," after I roasted him for his choice of shoes on our second date. I saw the first time he sent a picture of his tiny rented apartment and said, "It's not much, but it's mine." I remembered telling my friends, "He's not rich, but he's stable. I can work with stable." Around month 6, I saw a conversation we'd had that I'd forgotten. Him, "Sometimes I wish you'd joke less about me online." Me, "LOL. Why? Does it hurt your ego?" Him, "A little, yeah." Me, "Are you serious?" Him, "Yeah." Me, "You know I don't mean it." Him, "I know, but other people don't." Me, "Who cares what other people think?" Him, "I guess I do when they think I'm a joke to you." I had replied with, "You're not a joke, joke it's different." He hadn't answered after that. I hadn't followed up. Seeing that now made something inside me crack. It wasn't that I hadn't been warned. It wasn't that this ring thing came out of nowhere. He'd told me, in as many ways as he knew how, that he felt small next to my sarcasm. I just hadn't listened. Not really. Not enough.